This podcast was recorded and produced on the stolen land of the Wadawurrung and Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations. We would like to pay our respects to the elders and traditional custodians of this land. Sovereignty was never ceded. This land always was, always will be, Aboriginal land, and Black Lives Matter.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Miscellaneous Fuzz podcast. I am one of the co-hosts of the show, Isaiah. I am joined today with Kiera.
Hey, I'm the other co-host.
Yeah, so this is our first episode of our first installation of Miscellaneous Fuzz. This is a new venture started by myself and Kiera. It's just kind of just meant to be a podcast where we just talk about music, essentially just talk shit, have fun, and just explore a new area really, and just have fun.
So who are we, Isaiah? What do we do?
Well, yeah, of course, me and Kiera, we've known each other for some time. We're both from Melbourne, Victoria. We've known each other for about, I'd say how long, maybe like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Now. Would
yeah.
that be something about right?
We were friends in high school, and we've now continued our friendship at university. Isaiah is studying psychology. I am studying music industry, but we both like to write and we both like to make music. And it's not like lost on us that we're going to be talking about and probably like critiquing music whilst we also don't know shit. So like,
hey, give us a bit more credit than that.
Yeah.
Right? It's look. We know what we do. We know a bit about shit.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be a bit of a mix. We're just enjoying ourselves. This is meant to be kind of leisurely,
leisurely.
Anyway, but yeah, it's meant to be, a bit leisurely. Just, some people can just chuck this on in the background and just hear us banter.
Do you say leisure?
Leisure? What's wrong with leisure?
Isn't it leisure?
There's nothing wrong.
All right, don't worry.
Leisure,
I'm not going to be the
leisure.
grammar. I'm not going to be the grammar police.
It's alright. It's the same thing. End of the day.
But yeah,
End of the day, same thing.
Basically, yeah, this is what we're gonna do. And like, Isaiah has a YouTube channel. Well, I don't know if he's still adding to it, but you have a YouTube channel, so you're kind of more used to this kind of like speaking in front of the microphone, camera kind of deal.
Yeah.
Whilst I'm I'm popping my podcast cherry today. So go easy on me if I'm a little bit.
Well, yeah.
If I'm a little bit
of
rusty.
Course. And that's what I mean. This is something we're both, in a sense, learning. I've been doing this type of thing for longer because I've made content and such like that, which people might know if you're familiar with me. I've made a variety of content, whereas Kiera is still just kind of like wading into this. So we're still both kind of learning and stuff like that. So we're hoping this comes off like somewhat cohesive and at the very least interesting.
Yeah.
But although like at the same time we're doing this kind of as well, it's kind of like a more of a narcissistic thing for ourselves. Like, it's kind of selfish. We're doing it because this is something we would enjoy, and if anyone else can get some enjoyment out of it, that's great.
Look, we just talk for hours anyway, like about all the stuff we're probably going to talk about in this podcast. So we're like, you know what, let's just record it anyway, because like, our big brains should be shared to the world.
Well, yeah. That's funny. Right? I suppose that's kind of like an origin story of how this actually, how the podcast has come to be. So as Kiera said, like we talk all the time. We're close as hell. Like we're very close creative partners. We work together all the time. We're close friends, and we always have these like long form conversations, which we're just like, well, it'd be great to to somehow archive this sometime and just come back to it like in years time and be like, wow, that's kind of what we were talking about then.
Yeah.
So we don't have any like type of like, kind of like place where we could hear this stuff because we talk about so much, and it'd just be really interesting to revisit this at some point. And we thought this might be a cool medium to do it, just as well to add a few things out there and just to kind of like, try something new. And that's basically how we birthed this podcast. We were just kind of like, well, you know what? Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And here we are now in our rooms during COVID. We're planning to like record together at some point, but at the moment, this is kind of just what it is.
Yeah. And the stuff we like the music we listen to is also like super broad, which kind of helps. I mean, see, here's the thing, like before I met Isaiah in high school back in 2016 to 2017, literally all I listened to is like the holy trinity of like Marina and the Diamonds, Charlie XCX, and Lana Del Rey, who is now a bit of a hot topic, but Anyway, the holy trinity of like alt pop queens, and I wasn't very I wouldn't say experimental, but yeah, I stayed within that little bubble. And then I moved school and then I moved schools. And Isaiah was like, "Hey, rap though." Actually no, before that, the first rapper I listened to was fucking Drake. That like cuz these girls were like, "Oh my god, Drake." And I was like, who is this Drake? Oh, I knew who Drake was, but like, I was like, oh my god, that one album. Wait, there was this one album that I listened to a lot. Not Take Care, the other one, the one with the scribble. If you're reading this, it's too late.
Oh yeah, it's too late. Yeah, but that's considered one of his best albums.
Yeah,
that doesn't surprise me at
all.
all.
I was like, oh my god, rap is like. And then Isaiah was like, but also Drake. Like poetic rappers though, like Aesop Rock and like well, no, maybe not poetic, but you know, well, I guess poetic. I mean, like, Sweatshirt and stuff like that.
It's a fair way to
And
describe
my life was changed forever. And yeah, I was like, oh my god, you can actually use big words in music and it actually kind of work. I don't know. It just like challenged my idea of structure, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's in Kiera saying that, like, that's kind of like, in a sense, we kind of like, we both said, like, of course, we both kind of explored like in other genres and stuff like that, but it wasn't until we kind of like started talking more that we both kind of introduced each other to different genres of music and made our like actual interest in music more broad and more scope.
Yeah.
So, for instance, like as Kiera said, I introduced her more to the hip hop side of things and a bit more jazz and stuff like that, for instance, whereas Kiera may be more like interested in the pop side of things, so like stuff like PC music and that whole sphere with pop. But as well, now it's got to a point where we've both learned so much about what we both enjoyed that we can converse about these things on kind of a more equal playing, like kind of like an equal playing field. It's just really funny that we met because it just really helped in the way, you know, we both kind of appreciate and digest music, and it was really cool to meet someone who had such like a strong interest in music that just kind of wanted to know more about other music, like more music, and was just very open to trying new things, which is like kind of rare sometimes to find people who are, you know, very open to listening to all types of genres of music, because, you know, music as an art form is very varied. Not everyone enjoys everything they hear, and to enjoy multiple genres sometimes is kind of like a bit of a feat, because everyone has their own tastes, everyone likes their like different sounds. It's like not everything is appealing to everyone. So when you find people who are very open and accepting to actually, you know, try things that are new and take on and really listen to things you suggest, that's a great relationship to have. Step
out of the Spotify algorithm, because apparently that's like a filter bubble. And I was reading articles about this actually, about how it's going to really affect like, but I don't know if I believe that to be true. Like, I guess you get like curated playlists and like stuff like that, but I also feel like, I don't know, maybe people will be just stuck in like Spotify core. Apparently Spotify core is a thing where like there's a particular sound that's recommended to you more. And
it is, because like a lot of the way Spotify tailors, you know, your listening experience in terms of like the playlist they like, you know, curate for people, is that it's based on their listening history. So if your listening history is very based on like a certain genre or a certain type of music, you know, certain demographics, they will try and tailor those playlists for you. To their credit, they have made steps to try to like, you know, fix that a little bit. They've got like personal playlists, which are basically like, I think they did it at the end of the 2018 wrap up, actually. I don't know if they did it for 2019, but they had like a thing where it's like taste breakers, I think they called it.
Oh yeah. Like, is that even still a thing?
Taste based on your...
I feel like it's not there anymore. No, I didn't
get one for 2019. It's not. I didn't get one on my 2019 one, which is kind of sad. But no, you're very right. Like the way Spotify, like if you're basing your music taste based off like just like the one streaming platform where you listen to like, you know, music that you like, you're not going to get like that variety. You may get variety within like the genre, but you don't get, you know, Spotify is telling you what to listen to. You're getting like an algorithm or like a small set of people who are like, oh, this person listens to this, so let's push this to them. And it just leads you in certain directions. It's not without your own type of like, you know, delving into rabbit holes and actually learning about like the genre of music that you find more niches and like subgenres and stuff like that. So like for instance with like hip hop, you're looking at stuff like, you know, what's a good example of it? Like, you know, your jazz raps, your like industrial hip hop and stuff like that, as you kind of keep digging down like your art rap and stuff like that. Same with kind of like even pop music from like a bird's eye view. You have like a general term pop, but then that's broken up into other subcategories like your PC music, your electro pop and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hyper pop even.
To a degree, I wouldn't even call PC music pop because I don't think it's necessarily popular. But maybe Charlie XCX has kind of helped that.
But I mean, even with the term pop itself, I think the term, because pop is literally just the term, is popular music. So I think it's even like kind of transcended. You know,
yeah, I know what you mean.
Pop music isn't really the concept of popular music.
It's more about the
anymore.
conventions.
Pop music is its own subgenre.
It's more of the conventions now. Yeah. Yeah,
because if anything,
definitely agree.
we've discussed this many times, but now we talk about more hip-hop being the traditional form of pop. Like, if we're taking the definition of pop music literally to be popular, hip-hop and your modern day, you know, rap and stuff like that is what you would probably call pop music in the modern day, because that's what gets the listens, that's what gets the plays, outside of like a few artists in the top, you know, the top 5 of the Spotify's, like your Billie Eilish's and whatchamacallit,
Dua Peep.
Yeah, Dua Peep. There you go.
Which we'll insert. We'll literally insert. We've got to insert the Dua Peep, the Wendy Williams Dua Peep meme here for anyone who doesn't know.
Dua Peep.
Yeah, that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But that's just in reference. We're talking about Dua Lipa there, and which we might cover that this episode. We've got something in mind talking about in regards to Dua Lipa, if we get to it. That is.
If we probably won't, because we'll probably just like end up ruminating on like one topic for like way too long, and then we'll be like, shit, it's an hour and we haven't even covered. We've got like loose notes, but like I know we'll end up in like a straight rabbit hole just talking about other stuff, but it's cool. You know, it's cool.
Just to be transparent, we've basically got like a rough list of ideas which we might cycle throughout like our episodes. They're not necessarily markers that we have to hit, but they're things where if we find that we're dragging on a topic for too long, or we want to vary it up, we can look at a little sheet that we've got pretty much placed in front of us that will be able to, we can work to guide ourselves towards a new topic, which it helps a bit, you know, like just to give you guys a bit more direction. In saying that too, if anyone's listening and there's anything you guys are kind of, you know, curious about that you'd like us to kind of have a look into and maybe have a discussion about, just, you know, let one of us know, send us a message or something. That'd be cool as well. I'm more than happy to look into like things that anyone that's listening would like to hear more conversation about, even if there's like just like sort of niches in, you know, music or anything like that, or anything relevant kind of like to the music industry as a whole. Let us know and we'll look into
anything
it. Just,
spicy,
like, you know, 'cause we enjoy looking at the stuff. Anything spicy, even if it's like anyone that's local stuff, anything like that. Actually, you know what? Speaking of local,
that was
the same segue.
We went into oh my god, we both jumped on that. We're like, great segue. Speaking of local stuff, let's talk about the Melbourne music scene. But we'll probably just expand it to all of Australia.
And that was not written on our sheet. Like, that was not an obvious segue that we both tried to do there. But look, something that we were both, well, probably more than me, but like at the same time we're both kind of eager to talk about, was mainly the Melbourne music scene, as well as like Australia wide. I find that at the moment, that's a really interesting topic to talk about, because we have a lot of really budding, like, artists that are really budding and like, you know, really showing their wings recently, kind of specifically in Melbourne, which is where we're from. And well, both of us are mainly based in Melbourne, grew up here. Kiera is more based in Geelong nowadays, but still very much within Victoria.
Yeah, I just want to say about Geelong, moving here, it's kind of been funny because like apparently the only like predominant subculture here is fucking like metal. Apparently, like, even just all the like, because we even went to like a small festival, and it was all just sort of like somewhat metally. And then like I was talking to this woman that runs like this full art place. Yeah, that was a really cool festival though. She did it in a like backyard, and she set up a whole stage, and her parents were really cool. Like, they were just all a bunch of high school bands, and it looked really cool. Like, I was just super proud of it. But
but it's good to support that type of thing too. Just in terms of like, it was great to see someone even as young as she is.
Yeah, she's like 16.
And, you know, organizing that. Like, she's young, and she's just like, she went, I've got all these friends, we all make music, and I just want to run a festival. And you know, she did it. I can't imagine how much money that costed to even set up.
Yeah.
Like, I just props to her, really. I love to see that type of thing.
It was called Festival 54. I don't know if there's anything about it on socials, but you can probably search it up. Was it 56?
56.
Wait, let me
56. I'm pretty confident it's 56. You can double check that. But kind of like while we're here
my internet's slow as shit. But yeah. Oh no, here we go.
That's okay. But Yeah, no, pretty much the reason why we want to talk about, the Melbourne music scene specifically is because there's just a few artists, like not few, like many artists who are just like really starting to like, show their wings and really like kind of show like that we have established Melbourne sound, and that's really starting to build now. And I just kind of wanted to have a bit of a conversation on that because I find that something that's kind of neglected here in Australia, that we do have our own sound. We no longer have to always try and go to America or reach the international bounds. We've got to start bringing, you've got to give a reason for where the main gist of music is in America. You want to get people to come to us, not us always going to them. And I think we've got a lot of music out there now here in Australia that's kind of like, yes, you come here because we have these great unique artists and we've got our sound here. If you want that sound, we're not going to, kind of mold to the preconceptions that you have. You've got to mold to us, and because if you like it, come here. Support us over here.
Let's run a list of a couple of our main favorites, our main faves.
Well,
we're probably going to be emphasizing rap a little bit more. Just maybe
we've got a few. There's a few variety I can think of that's outside of hip hop.
Oh, that's true.
Like, just for the sake of it, let's start off with someone like, I don't know, I think someone who's been doing really great, and I think we talk about quite a fair bit, is someone like Coda Banks, who is a lot more pop centric here in Australia. I believe she's based in Brisbane. Am I correct by saying that?
No clue, but let me see.
I believe it's
Australia.
I believe it's in that area, but
she is Australian. Well, she is also Italian and has this really iconic song
that's
called Italiana, and it's about like the chorus is literally just shut up and give me pasta. It's such an outlier because all this stuff is like very just sort of like, I guess, like very top 40 inspired. Well, all the stuff before that, really interestingly, the EP after that was very Charlie XCX sounding, which is a whole other discussion. But like, this one song was such an outlier. It kind of sounded like something Camila Cabello would like bust out, except all the lyrics were about her being proud to be Italian, and it was so like it was so funny, but like it was really cool. And I was like, I thought it was kind of such a novelty.
The way I explain that to everyone is like, if we're using like a more prominent example, I'd say like her version of that Italian song is comparable to Doja Cat's Cow song. Like,
the novelty of it. Yeah, 100%.
The novelty of it is the equivalent. If you watch the music video for that Cow video, then you watch the music video for this, you'll see kind of like, you could probably draw parallels there. Like, I find that.
Them, like, all the dancers with like bowls of pasta in their hands, just like doing straight choreography with it. It was very cool. I feel like she tried to make it a bit of a TikTok thing. I don't know if it did that for her. I really don't think it did. But it's fine. Like, it doesn't matter. But
it still props to her for doing it. But point being with Coda Banks is like, she's a pop artist here in Australia who really does have, like, is really solidifying their own sound. Obviously, you can tell, like, she's someone who does borrow a bit from, like, the American sound, but who, in a way, some people who doesn't sometimes, especially within the pop sphere, you kind of do have, like, that kind of does happen a lot. But, no, I think she's a really standout act from kind of, like, in Australia, at least. If we're looking more at, just kind of, like, bringing it back to more Melbourne-based stuff, she's outside of Melbourne, but looking at like Melbourne, kind of like where we live, we've got like a heap of artists too. Like I'm thinking about people like Barasura, Remi, Nasty Mars, Pookie, who actually dropped their first public single the other day, Tuesday. I recommend everyone go check that out because I really want. It's all up on Spotify
Congratulations.
now. That's funny. We actually saw Pookie live once, which I don't know if you actually remember this.
Yeah, wasn't she a guest for Remi? Because I've accidentally seen Remi 3 times. I accidentally saw him 3 times in 1 year. Accidentally. But it was cool though. I mean, I like pretty much memorized like his whole set by the time I got to the 3rd one. But I'm not complaining. He's such a he is super charismatic as a performer. Remi's a rapper. Barrow, Remi, all rappers. Do you
want to provide some context around Remi, just for people that might not know who Remi is specifically, before we go a bit more into him?
He is a Melbourne rapper. What more context do you want? I guess it's somewhat. No, I wouldn't even say. No, it's not jazz rap. I don't know. I feel like you're better at breaking this down than I am.
I'll kind of give it a bit more I'll contextualize it a bit more. So Remi is a hip hop artist from Melbourne, Australia. He's under the record label House of Beige, which is like accompanies himself Remi is a duo. Just to clarify, Remi is the main singer. His name's Ray Colwell. I always butcher his last name, so I'm just going to omit that for now. But like Remi and Sensible J, they're a hip hop duo, but Remi is the name of the lead artist.
Yeah.
And essentially, they're under a group named the House of Beige, which is a Melbourne-owned label, which includes Cool Out Sun, which is another really cool group here in Melbourne, which I also think is really the sound that we're cultivating at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's alongside Remi too. And yeah, I also like. Remi is just a really standout act here in Australia because of like, you know, the content of his music and also the very like organic nature of his instrumentation and the way Sensible J brings, you know, these very organic elements to the instrumentation. It's just kind of becoming a kind of like a core sound of here in Melbourne in terms of more like the hip hop sound. I find that's like really making it stand out here in Australia. It's like very comparative to things like Sampa the Great, which a lot of people who would be a lot more familiar with Sampa the Great, I kind of draw parallels there because they also work together.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, Sensible J also makes really good solo stuff as well.
He does. So, Sensible J does.
Yeah, it's super smooth.
Then you also, kind of on that topic, because they're kind of similar, then there's like people like, who are still kind of in the background of this all, but that also produces, is someone like Silent J, who's been around for God knows how long, years. He works a lot with people like, he's worked with Remi a few times. He's on Sampa the Great's last album too, if I'm remembering that correctly. Who's also like an amazing vocalist, and he also does amazing production. He's been working a lot with Barra Sua recently, who's another Melbourne MC, which I've seen and I've been a fan of for many years, and they're both just flourishing. And I believe they've got a mixtape coming out really soon, which
I am
extremely Barra's reported a few times saying that he's got like a large mixtape that's meant to come out with just pretty much just Silent J. It's just meant to be them going back and forth. So that's why they've been working so much. So Barra dropped 2 singles. This would have been earlier this year actually, which was What's Wrong and what's the other one called? In Your Eyes.
What's Wrong and In Your Eyes are both super like sparkly and just like daydreamy, but also like they're like night drive music.
Yeah,
night drive music.
I would agree. Like
introspective, introspective night drive music. That is exactly what that is. Yeah, it's like it's super cool. Like, I think I was thinking about this a lot. Like, I think that, oh my God, I've got like something in my, I'm just going to cough for a stick. I'm going to move away from the mic. I don't have coronavirus. I do not have coronavirus. And if I do, look, it's fine. I'm here by myself anyway. But yeah, I feel like I enjoy their stuff as Australian rappers. And because I think sometimes I struggle with the abrasive, like the mainstream Australian rappers. Oh, I'm going to say mainstream Australian rappers here because obviously as a kid I wasn't very immersed in probably like maybe the more underground scene at all. I just listened to what's on the radio. But the more mainstream Australian rappers had very like abrasive Aussie accents. They were just like a bunch of white dudes with very abrasive Australian accents. And I think sometimes I struggled with that. And I don't know if that's struggled with that sound. And I don't know if that's just my bias because we're so used to American rap, or it's just because it is just the Aussie accent does just suck. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or is it just the like image that those rappers maybe had? Maybe it just seemed too gratingly like somewhat bogan. I don't know. Like they didn't.
I think just being here in Australia in general, we get sick of like that very stereotypical sound that we actually do have because our accents are quite nasally. I think, especially for Australian listeners, because I know a lot of I know some of the American ones love the Australian accent.
Yeah.
They love the accent. Obviously, to your set, like usually I think people like when they have that accent, you kind of get sick of it.
Yeah.
But I also argue though, like that you can hear like even in these like more these up and coming artists now, everyone has like that kind of. You can kind of hear that slight like Australian like kind of accent in their stuff. It's just not as great.
It's not nasally though. It's not as nasally.
It's not nasally. It's not. It's definitely not. And I think that does contribute. I think the reason why we do have that perception as Australian people born here in this country and kind of like inheriting that accent is.
This is also why the Kid Laroi and Iggy Azalea were both able to go international as Australian rappers is because both of them, Iggy Azalea seemed more calculated, but the Kid Laroi, I think just I think because he sing raps a bit more, I don't know how to explain it. He's able to sort of mask the I'm gonna sound like husky. He kind of masks the accent a bit, I think, when he does that. Like, you'll hear it sometimes, but yeah, I think that's maybe how he does it. But that's definitely why he was able to go from like, I think it was like Triple J on Earth or Triple J, is it Triple J High or like that high school competition? He was able to go from that to like Cole Bennett videos. I mean, dude, I'm super proud of him. Like, good on him. He's just doing his thing.
I suppose
the Juice WRLD protege.
Yeah, it's awesome.
The Juice WRLD protege, as everyone says in the comments, they're like, oh my God, this is Juice WRLD's legacy being passed down. He actually does sound like Juice WRLD though. I don't know if that was deliberate, but sorry. Okay.
It's really, sorry. I'm just kind of butting to say this. I sound like but like, no. Pretty much, it's funny you bring up those two artists specifically who have really made it to America. And there's something I want to point out here when I'm talking about, Melbourne artists and bringing international listeners here. I think the Kid Laroi and people like Iggy Azalea, which I haven't heard of from a bit now, but she's still doing quite well from what I understand. The reason they were so
almost her last release.
She's still doing well.
I'm just gonna jump on Spotify.
Yeah, but I suppose the reason why they're doing so well, and the reason why I wanted to have this conversation specifically about Australian music and the Melbourne scene, is because like we're seeing Australian acts like the Kid Laroi's, the Iggy Azaleas, or even the TK, or not even really TK Mizer. She doesn't fall under this category, but those two specifically with the Kid Laroi's and the Iggy Azaleas, they got such great international success because I feel like they very much tailored their sounds to the American sphere. So they kind of went, okay, to get this, to fall within the sound of popularity and get people to listen to me, I'm going to appeal to that very American sound and tap into that market 100%. Very deliberately. The really cool thing we've got going on now, which I think could happen with us here in Australia, is that I think we're really building up this very organic and natural sound, which is really ours. And I think we're getting to a point where we could actually, if we keep promoting these voices who are, unique and actually stand out and, represent a sound which is a bit more, I'm not going to say cultural, but like kind of representative of, our country, I think we're going to find that we have, that market come to here looking for this particular sound.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what we've still got to push for as kind of like Australian creatives. We've got to try and get people to come here. We don't always have to go to them. I feel like there's such the need for us to go to them.
Yeah.
And kind of trying to remove away from that mentality is a really healthy thing. Not only just for like, popularity, but just also like just being like, like just healthy for a creative mindset. I feel like we can't always think internationally. I think we've also got to think like locally.
I mean, I think the closest we've gotten to that is, and I don't know a lot, to be honest. I don't listen to a lot of Courtney Barnett, but I think the closest we've gotten to that is Milk Records. Because as Milk Records as a collective, like they move very much like within a unit. Like they do a lot of compilation albums, and Courtney Barnett has gotten so big with her like sort of like her songwriting is just like so iconic. And she's someone that does like really, I mean, she uses the Aussie accent to her advantage, but I think that works with sort of her more like rougher sort of like, I don't want to say grunge. I feel like grunge is such a blanket term, but I'm just going to say grunge because I don't listen to much of her stuff. But yeah, I think because Milk Records have moved as a collective, and all have sort of like a sound in common. Like what I found really interesting with Milk Records is that are they called Slater Kinney? I could be getting this confused with another band, but there's this American band that's actually quite big in America, and they've literally signed to Milk Records, which is a small Melbourne label. And I thought that was incredibly interesting that an American band that's established would go from like, I'm assuming a decent label to like the small label that is Milk Records in humble Melbourne. But I think that shows that maybe in that sort of situation, people are looking towards the Australian sound. Like apparently like Milk Records as a collective is called like the Melbourne scene. And that's what like people in America call it, which is kind of cool. Like good on them. Like I think that's great. But yeah, I kind of thought that was super interesting when I found out about that signing. I thought that was kind of random.
No, totally.
I don't want to jump back to Iggy Azalea, but I am, because when I searched her most recent track, there was this one called Dance Like Nobody's Watching, and I actually did listen to a bit of it, and I think I watched the music video. It features Tinashe, and I got really excited because I love Tinashe. I love like how
that's
she
right, you were
blends.
talking about
Yeah,
this.
her like pop R&B sound is like so on point. And I love the work she did with Did you just clap?
Sorry, yeah, I've got to sleep it cuts off 30 minutes.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah,
guys,
yeah.
just ignore that.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Look,
Look, we'll insert just like a Shia LaBeouf because Isaiah wants to be Shia LaBeouf. So if Isaiah's camera cuts out, we'll insert a picture of Shia LaBeouf in his panel. That's our backup. I've got this one picture on my laptop. That would be perfect. Where he's just walking with a red beanie holding a tambourine. I think that's the perfect picture to put there. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Anyway, I was really excited because I love Tinashe. Especially that album she had with a lot of like Dev Hines production, Blood Orange. But anyway,
Oh, totally, yeah.
but so I was excited for this, and then it was the most bland track. This track was white bread. It was so generic, but I think what Iggy Azalea has going for her is her visuals. The music videos are so insane. They're quite avant-garde. I noticed she really I guess I don't want to say plays on. She really like calls upon like drag culture and features a lot of drag queens, and like I think the aesthetic sort of really follows that, and I think to a degree, yeah, having that combined with kind of pop rap has kind of worked for her. I mean, she's definitely not as big as she was when she dropped the new classic, which is painful. Has not aged well.
But that's what
especially
I mean.
Change Your Life with
that's what
T.I.
I think, though, like-
Even Fancy. I remember being so hyped for Fancy as like a little 14-year-old. I was like, oh my God, because I used to love Iggy Azalea.
Oh, God.
Me with my
Oh,
expansive rap taste at 14, I was like, oh my God, Iggy Azalea is like so cool.
But I think that's a prime example of someone being really assimilated, like coming from like, you know, especially here in Australia, really assimilating into like what they believe to be, you know, the sound,
Yeah.
like, which is it, like the popular sound, which is American. America is the popular sound. If we're like really detaching this from like genres of music, we're talking about like a popular genre. We're really thinking about America because our standard of like popular music is America. Like if it's not American relevant, it's not relevant.
Yeah.
And I feel like kind of that's an example of like an artist really assimilating kind of, well, for lack of a better term, into, you know, the American scene, for lack of a better word, and kind of like not really feeling attached to. Because I don't think when we have conversations about, you know, Australian artists, typically, we don't really bring up Iggy Azalea anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people even realize that that's where she was from.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of a weird thing to think about. Like it's okay.
That's
Don't worry,
fine.
it's fine.
We look,
Like, it did respectfully. Like, I don't mind.
respectfully, it's okay. I think like,
Yeah.
I mean, because she, as she said, and I quote from her 2016 drop work, no money, no family, 16 in the middle of Miami. Wait, was that even 2016? No, that was earlier. God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The new classic was
That's
released in
earlier than that.
2014. I'm old.
Yeah. It's,
When was Work
A lot
dropped?
of her stuff's old, man.
Anyway, but God, time flies. Anyway, but yeah, she started when she was quite young. I don't know what my point was. I just quoted.
It's alright.
Nobody, no family, 16 in the middle. Anyway.
You catch up. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. But yeah, essentially, okay, but like yeah, she's adopted like that super like American tone. I think it was even too much, and that's why she kind of copped shit, 'cause people will like put that with like inauthenticity and was like, oh, she's like trying to be American, which was probably true, but you know,
Yeah,
it worked for her clearly.
just
She's still making money.
Yeah, she's still doing her
She's still
thing.
doing
She's
her
still
thing.
making her money. Like, she copped a lot of, like, of course, like, even stuff like the double XL appearance,
Yeah.
she copped a lot of shit.
I just want to
like,
say her.
in that, which, look, the verses weren't great. Like, don't get me wrong, she didn't perform that well. And that's fine to not,
Yeah.
like, enjoy the performance. Like, that's totally fine. I don't think I really enjoyed it either. I thought the performance was quite mid. And I think it deserved a bit of, like, you know, kind of like, oh, this wasn't that great. Like, this is annoying or whatever people say. But, like,
Yeah.
I do think they probably went a bit too hard on her character, just slightly.
Yeah,
was a
I
bit
agree.
like, God, chill a little bit. But like, no, yeah, it's
Look, women in music are always grilled so much harder about whether their image is authentic.
Yeah.
I seriously like. It's like, oh, is she authentic or like, even just down to a stage
Why do you think
name.
that is?
Even just down to a stage name. I really don't know. I think in general, women are always more scrutinized for like, just whether they're genuine or not. I don't know. I think people just, I don't know why people don't understand that, like, performers are always going to be like, inauthentic to a degree. That's just what, especially pop music, like that's just what it is. Like you're always going to be playing some sort of role, playing some sort of character, like that is ultimately a part of yourself. But like people, I feel like, are always harder on whether women's images are authentic, and I can't think off the top of my head where exactly that's come from. I mean, just in general, like women in the music industry obviously caught more shit, so I'm assuming it's just one block in the tower of that. But what do you think, Isaiah?
I think, like, in terms of like authenticity, I kind of still question where that does come from to an extent. Like, I'm sure it's kind of buried in, like, I suppose this stuff would, like, I suppose the stuff that women are discriminated for in music specifically would have to be, like, which would probably vary genre from genre. There's probably some consistencies between genres, but, like, I'm sure, like, it's kind of genre based too. Like, again, we've had, like, conversations in the past about, like, the way in which, you know, hip hop's kind of derives from kind of like a culture which can be, you know,
misogynistic,
kind of, you know, misogynistic, and it's kind of, we know that, like, it's something we can't really hide from. We know that there was kind of a lot of misogynistic tones in a lot of the, like, older music we listen to, and that's kind of just what it is now. That's kind of like a result of, you know, the way we looked at the way people looked at masculinity years and years ago, decades and decades ago. Like, you know, patriarchal values were very normal and it wasn't questioned, and we're moved into a modern day now where that's, you know, not normal, where we're very much encouraged to, you know, not endorse those things. I believe, like, this idea of authenticity may arise partially from, you know, maybe even concepts of that to an extent.
I think people are just struggle to believe women in all contexts. No, seriously, like, I feel like just people just, I don't know, it's just, okay, I don't know. I don't really have an answer, really. It's just it again.
It's a large can of worms.
It's
like,
such
it's
a
just
can of
something
worms.
we could go into. This is something you could dig into and, like, kind of pick apart for hours and hours, because it's kind of like, it is, like, kind of an issue which has always, like, kind of implicitly existed, and I don't think it's a very easy answer to the reason why it exists. And I think that might be something it's worth having, like, a larger kind of like a larger show on at one point, just kind of like having like maybe like one episode where we just kind of, if that's interested someone, like, where we just dig into, like, maybe like those types of things which exist within the music industry, and kind of, like, you know, why women are, like, you know, viewed or put to standards that they are. Because I find that's kind of a really interesting topic, because that is true. There's specifically in popular music that does exist, and I think we see that time and time again, especially between genres.
Yeah, totally. Like, some rappers that, like, kind of grind my gears, like recent ones, you know who I'm going to talk about. Triple One.
Look. It's true. Like, they're not. Look, it's not our cup of tea. But if anyone enjoy, like, everyone can enjoy what they want.
No. I get what they're trying to do, but I think.
Yeah.
Oh, some of their hooks, like, they just have this one hook where it's like, I've been a bad boy.
Oh,
that's just that one
yes.
song. Look, maybe they've gotten better. Like, maybe
okay.
I'm just out of touch. But, like, that one song,
just so people can,
they're like a rap group.
Just so people can,
but yeah.
Just so people are on the same page as what we're talking about right now. Just go search up Triple One. I'll pull up the song.
Okay, I'm gonna tell the listeners. I don't know how many listeners there's gonna be. Whoever is on the other end of this recording, I'm gonna tell you a story about the time we saw Triple One. And maybe this is why I don't like them, because my experience is clouded. So Isaiah and I went to go see Rich Brian, who is another rapper. He's a part of the 88 Rising group. He's awesome. The show itself was quite flat, not really because of him, but for some reason everyone stood there like fucking mannequins, and we're like, why? It was an underage show as well, like not underage, but all ages show as well. So I thought people would go like...
Yeah, that's probably why.
But no, I thought that would make people more rowdy, because they'd be like, oh my God, like concerts and stuff, because it was at Festival Hall. Anyway, so before that, we decided to put...
Oh, by the way, just interject really quick.
Yeah, my laptop is making noises.
That song we're talking about by Triple One, which we've...
Yeah.
That's okay. As long as your laptop's okay. But just so people can catch up to speed, the song we're talking about
if
before
this laptop
was Triple
explodes.
One Bad Boy. Just give it a listen and see what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just give it a listen. Yeah.
Give it a listen.
Just give it a listen. Tell us what you think. 'Cause,
We're
like,
gonna
I think our like internal cringe.
But that's what I'm saying. I want to tell this story. It's because maybe I've just got, what's the word for? I've been classically conditioned to not like this song.
Yeah,
So we basically got a bit too drunk before this show, because I was like, you know, I was still trying to work out how much alcohol I could pretty much take. And I thought I was fine for like so long. Like I didn't understand the concept of like it hitting you like later.
Yeah,
like I was like, I'm
100%.
fine. Anyway. And so we had to like just quickly run and like, yeah, I basically like puked and it sucked. And then we had to quickly go clean it off and then quickly run back in. And like, and this is why I swear, like after that, I'm like, I'm not going to drink like ever again. But anyway, that's besides the point. And then like, so I was already in a shitty mood. Like we couldn't get.
We all say that.
What do you mean we all say that? I've been alright.
We all say that. We're like, we have one instance where we're like, oh, we can't do this again. Then we end up, going and drinking again.
No,
Like,
but as in to
not
that
bad.
degree. Like I think I worked out then
to
like
that degree.
that's not how you do it. But like,
Yeah, no, not in that manner. Yeah, totally.
and then like, so anyway, and then like as soon as we walked in, like I felt like shit because like I just was hating myself. And then we walked in and the support act was just Triple One and they were singing this like really annoying hook about being a bad boy that just seemed to go on forever. And I was just standing there like, dude, I just want to...
nasally Aussie accent.
Being a bad boy. He's been a
Like,
bad...
imagine-
No, it's a
imagine
call and
someone,
response
like-
as well. Isn't it like, I've been a bad
Alright.
boy. He's been a bad boy.
yes.
I've been a bad boy.
That type of thing. So imagine, all right, so let me put this in the context for everyone. Imagine like what's his name? Gary down at Frankston Station pulls up to you and starts like gets like a microphone, attaches it to like a giant stereo system and starts saying, I've been a bad boy. Like it's just think about that and then think about kind of that experience. Like just two and two don't go together very nicely, like in itself.
They do have one song that I actually didn't mind. I think it was their first single. It's the one where the main sort of vocalist does this like really cool hook. And I think putting more emphasis on the vocalist worked for them. I think there's some of the rappers just shouldn't be on some of the hooks. I think that's the problem. But anyway, but it's also just maybe that sort of very grating sort of bogan image can kind of be a little bit annoying unless you're doing something interesting with it. I don't know. Again, it could have just been because I got a bit too drunk and then I was just like, and then I felt like shit and then I was like, I don't want to hear loud Aussie accents right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear loud Aussie accents right now.
You've classically conditioned yourself in a
Basically,
sense. But like no, I think
am I the Pavlov
look,
dog? Wait, what is it called? Is that the dog?
Pavlov.
Am I the Pavlov dog?
The Pavlov, yeah. Yeah, Pavlov's dog. Yeah.
But instead of giving him what did they do to make him salivate?
There was the doorbell.
Yeah, instead of a doorbell, it's just that dude from Triple One singing, I've been a bad boy. And that's what happened.
That's one way to put it.
That's what happened.
It's Pavlovian classical edition. But yeah, look again, this is nothing against Triple One. This is just an experience.
Look,
this is out of
we're
preference.
tastefully, analyzing. No, like, I mean, it's okay to have preferences, God. Like,
it's okay to have preferences. Yeah, it is okay to have preferences, just to keep that clear. We're just being like, when we're expressing these opinions, we mean no like malice against anyone.
Dude, it's
just
fine.
a preference for music.
Like I said at the start, like we're probably going to shit on people knowing very well that we can't do shit. So like, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, this is just...
We're trying
to do shit. We are trying to do shit.
We're creative in our own right. I suppose that's something we could talk about, actually. Maybe that's something we can wrap this up. Like, not wrap it up with, but like kind of talk about.
Yeah, we could. We have a lot of things we want to talk about. Also, just so you know, all the songs that we mention, or like the artists that we mention, we're going to have a Spotify playlist you all can listen to. It'll be under the podcast name, so you can just like for each episode you can listen to like some of the songs we talked about. Speaking of songs I want to talk about,
even just the artists. Yeah, even specific artists. So we'll just make we'll create like a small playlist for each week. Or each week, or however frequent we choose to release these. We don't really have a specific schedule just yet, but we're hoping to do it at the latest a maximum every 2 weeks.
Yeah, we want to go for that. I mean, at the moment we are separated by not stage 3 and stage 4.
Green disease.
The macaroni in a pot. That's some dirty ass corona. We are separated by stage 3 and stage 4, which sucks because we haven't seen each other in like a good couple of months until we realized that. Yeah, that's right. We probably could have. We probably could have seen each other. We probably didn't read the.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We didn't think about it between the lockdowns. Just didn't. We just like, oh, we could have like saw each other for a second. But so it's been quite a while.
Yeah,
we're looking forward to.
But look, we're being safe. You know what? We're being safe. There we go. We're not giving each other the macaroni. It's all good. But
which is great to see that like there's a lot of people out like this is kind of like I know a little off topic, but it's great to see people are like starting to be more obedient with this stuff and everyone's staying kind of just like within their own bubble. And
aren't there protests today?
Going through kind of today.
Apparently there are. No. Wait, am I wrong? This is in Melbourne. Oh no, we did say we're in Melbourne. But
there was one. I found out about one a few weeks back that apparently was a protest. Like, we're talking about this on Air Raids actually. Shout out to Air Raids. They've been great.
Explain what Air Raids is. Plug them.
Oh, Air Raids. Yeah, may as well. Air Raids is a radio show which a local Melbourne group as well. Shout out Under Oath. I work with them a lot. It's consisting of Sol Rakam, Oyahana, and Jameson. They invited me onto their show. Because I work with them a lot. They're all super talented guys, lovely people, and we just talked about that. And it's funny, they enlightened me about that, actually. I'd only heard about that a few hours prior, and they were talking about, like, oh, no, like, these I just don't understand, like, why do it? Like,
yeah.
It's a headache.
I think, especially we're so far in, like, we're nearly done. We are nearly done. I mean, look, the turnout was only, I think, was it 200? Around 200 last time. So that's cool.
200 was it?
Apparently it was like super small, which is fine. Dude, that's fine. Like, look, it is what it is. It's still 200 people, but like it is what it is. But like the way I feel like the media was covering it, I was assuming they were expecting it to be much bigger. Maybe, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people talk the talk and then just like don't show up.
I'm sure they exacerbated it a heap too. Like, I'm sure that's something they would like.
Fear mongering.
It's a very easy thing to like. Yeah, you can easily fearmonger that and make people angry. Like, it's very easy to make people angry in these times.
Yeah.
And, like, cause uproar. Yeah. And that's kind of all you want to do as a media company. Yeah. Like, for us, to be successful, you kind of want to cause uproar because, like, that publicity is like usually a positive
That's
thing.
what kind of freaks me out. People are so easily influenced. Like, fear makes people sort of do, I don't know. Yeah. You sort of is more easily malleable when you're in a fearful situation. And that sometimes that worries me because, I don't know. I just feel like it makes people do things or act in certain ways that they wouldn't normally would. Which has resulted in a whole heap of different responses. One being obviously these protests. But actually, no, I feel like with more of these protests, it's just like them being contrarians for the sake of being contrarians. Like...
Oh, I'm sure that is. It's kind of like you have that minority group where it's just kind of like, oh, like, fuck the government type of deal. And it's just kind of like, it's just kind of that group of people I find it is primarily, or like, I totally understand like people having like, concerns about the notion of freedom, but when it gets to the point,
but we're nearly done, like, bro. We're nearly done.
These are in our worst. This is in the worst interest of the people.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's totally not in the. I don't think it's. I just don't believe it's.
Look, unless we're getting microchipped.
Yeah,
unless we're straight up, unless they go the only like, cure to the coronavirus is that we all have to get a microchip. I'll be like, nah.
Yeah, then we've got an issue. That's when it's not in the best interest of the people. Like, that's when it's like, no, there's definitely something more going on here. Like, there's so much stuff. I'm not gonna dig into it. This is kind of
like let's give everyone a mental break from like the coronavirus gymnastics.
Yeah,
like let's
just we promise not to like lather this stuff on too much, just because it's been quite relevant and just recent. That's the reason we brought this up.
Yeah, but yeah. Actually, you know what I want to talk about? You know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about the Dua Lipa Future Nostalgia Remix album. I want to talk about this because I was so annoyed that all the fans hated it. Like, I'm not like super, like, I listened to Future... Oh, an alarm went off
That's okay.
to remind me to take my vitamins because I'm a healthy person. I'm a healthy bitch.
Taking vitamins.
I'm a healthy bitch, and I gotta take.
Imagine taking vitamins.
I gotta take vitamins. I got kind of sick, and then I went to a naturopath, and they're like, "Hey, to recover, let's make you pay for hundreds of dollars worth of fucking vitamins that you have to take at specific points in the day."
Hundreds.
No, I wouldn't say 100. It was definitely over 100, actually. Yeah. They're like, let's just throw all these vitamins at you with all these different magical herbs. And I had to learn how to swallow tablets. That was funny. So now when I swallow a tablet, my swallowing tablet style is me looking like I'm gagging and like choking. I literally look like I'm choking.
Just
I don't have I'm not
precursor.
gracefully like popping pills. They're not even pills, but popping tablet vitamins. I'm like trying to like throw it kind of like, if anyone's watching the video right now, it's that, literally I'm throwing it back, except it's not.
You heard it here
Instead
first.
of blowing my back out, I'm blowing my neck out because it's like.
But just a precursor to people
disgusting.
like that might be. Just a precursor to people that might not know. Kiera is someone who could not swallow tablets for life of her for many years.
I just have the worst
So
gag
this is
reflex. Like I can't even like brush my teeth and get to the back without me like having to nearly puke. It sucks.
That's natural. Look, that's a natural though. Everyone has a gag reflex at that point. It's just yours is probably a lot worse, which makes it difficult to swallow tablets. And that's kind of like a habituation thing where you've got to kind of just get used to it. It's like, this is again extremely off topic, but like, it's just a funny story because it's like ever since it's just something you like. It's okay. We all learn that at different times. You're just massively late, but it's all
I was
right.
massively late, but it's cool. It's cool. Like. There's a time
man.
there's a time for everything. It came out of necessity because they were like, you either have to swallow these tablets or you have to like grind them in like a paste and then just like eat the paste. And this shit is like the strongest. Like it smells like, I don't know if anyone's ever used like henna. It kind of smells like henna. It's like a dye that's made of herbs. Anyway, it just smelled like absolute shit. And like me trying to eat it with like mix it into like, I brought like yogurt and it didn't work. Anyway, this is not important, but anyway, I'm kind of proud of myself though. Speaking of that Dua Lipa, Isaiah's like, shut the fuck up, it's true. I don't need to talk about vitamins. Anyway, but this Dua Lipa album, I'm so pissed off that fans just were like, we just wanted a deluxe album. Why put out a whole separate album that's like remixes? If anyone hasn't listened to this album, it is the most amazingly cohesive remix album I think I've ever heard in my life. Apparently, the like predecessor to this was like a Madonna remix album in like, I'm going to assume probably the 80s. Just reminds me, maybe, who knows. But it's kind of in the format of it being like a radio show. So there'll be these really cool interludes that will sample like Nina Cherry, Gwen Stefani, oh my god, like Art of Noise, Jamiroquai pops in there, but it's just the format is really cool and the remixes are so like, they're not super EDM-y, they're very like 90s house, which fits well with the original album, which is very like disco inspired and stuff like that. But I was so annoyed in the comments, people were like, what's the point of having like a remix album? And they just did not respect the cohesiveness of his album. Like usually remix albums are so just bland and sort of, they're obviously cherry picked they're albums for cherry picking. It's sort of like you pick the right one for your mix and it is what it is. But this is to be listened as like a whole experience, and I kind of really like that. And I haven't really seen that kind of delivery of a remix album before. But okay, I need to talk about this. There was a comment on the Future Nostalgia like YouTube video, because the whole album's also like a visual album as well, so there was this like hour-long set of visuals, which was like super cool. And then one person was like, these remixes are so shit, why didn't they just put Martin Garrix on the tracks and call it a day? And my body just like absolutely had a seizure. I'm like, how dare you think that chucking Martin Garrix on a fucking like disco remix album would actually work? Like, oh my god, it just worked so well. Like, oh my god. Anyway,
another precursor to the frustration here is the album was kind of, this remix album was kind of the sentiment of the remix album again, not to bring this back to COVID again, but basically the reason why this album was cultivated in the way it was, or curated in the way it was, is because obviously at the moment, globally, we're all stuck inside and we can't really, go to clubs and whatnot, or whatever people may do, go to bars. So what they've kind of attempted to do in this album is essentially kind of make it like you know, its own type of like disco type of. Well, you know what I mean? It's kind of meant to simulate going to a club. That's kind of like a lot of the point of the album. That's like its artistic view. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would definitely
We were
agree.
talking about, yeah.
And
so the reason why the frustration exists with that, because it's like, well, there's a very deliberate choice. Ooh,
yeah, so I just realized my
Something
video
happens.
cut out, so like I've had to restart it. So good luck trying to
That's
sync that
right.
up. Sorry.
Oh, great.
Sorry in advance. You're gonna have to sync that up.
I had enough. I have edited a few air raids now, and I've had a few things like that
Yeah.
with the video. So it's all right. I'll figure it out eventually.
But sorry, can you quickly go back
Yeah.
and repeat what you were just saying? Because I got totally distracted.
Yeah, so pretty much, so pretty much, I was just like kind of telling pretty much everyone that's listening that basically it's kind of this is born the precursor of this is born out of essentially that the creative direction for this remix album was that it's meant to kind of build a simulation. It's meant to be a continuously flowing remix
Yes.
album, which basically kind of simulates being at a club.
Yes.
Because we're all kind of locked inside and we can't go out anymore, and we're kind of just, you know, locked away in our houses. It's meant to be something to give back to the people who are stuck at home. And I think the reason why, like, the way we look at this and it being received so poorly by fans specifically,
Yeah.
it just feels a bit ungrateful, because I feel like
Exactly.
there's kind of like a really strong intent to, you know, appeal to the current time and be like, hey, you know, it's sad that we can't do much right now, but here's something to kind of simulate that. And that's kind of like a really nice sentiment, I suppose you could say.
Ungrateful stands are like my absolute pet peeve. I just think like respect artists' creative decisions and just roll with it. It is what it is. Like
Yeah.
especially leaking songs. Leaking songs really gets me. Actually, we were talking about
Yeah.
oh my god, let's talk about how much we love this. We brought back like a very niche childhood, would you say childhood? Early high school memory of that like one leak track by A$AP Rocky and Lana Del Rey.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Yeah. that's-
And we were just like diving into that. And we like, because we both brought it up and we're like, oh my god, you actually knew this song? We're like, yeah. It was this track that got dropped. I think it was going to be on A$AP Rocky's album. And it's this like really cool collab between the two of them. They went on to do other stuff, especially on Lana Del Rey's albums. But like, yeah, it's just such a good track. Like it's such a nice summer track and it has this really nice sample.
yeah. And
Yeah, go.
sorry, if I interrupted there, but pretty much what I was saying is like, it's funny. It's like, it's kind of like a funny, interesting bond we have, because it's both like, this was a song that was circulating as a leak for ages. And it was kind of around like the mid 2010 era where it kind of dropped, like kind of leaked. I would say it's about the mid 2010, maybe earlier than that, maybe like early 2010 period where it leaked. And there was like a lot of dispute about why it wasn't ever released with like Rocky's team.
I reckon
and, like,
2013.
the producer. 2013,
Yeah.
yeah, that sounds about right. And basically, it was very linked because like there was two worlds that didn't really collide that much. You had like the Lana Del Rey side, and then also the A$AP Rocky side, like with A$AP Mob grabbing like a lot of attention and Rocky having some very successful albums. It was a really funny collision because Lana Del Rey had like a very strong presence in kind of like the Tumblr world and those types of aesthetics, and then Rocky,
Remember
being Rocky
Tumblr?
and being in more of like the hip hop sphere, like. People like me being like, 13 at the time, me listening to A$AP Rocky and then hearing this song, I'm like, oh, this is weird to hear like Lana Del Rey, which then introduced me more into like the pop side of things. It was a very weird like niche leak that was actually quite popular.
It had millions of
and someone made a lot
plays because we're looking at it before and we're like, wow, this actually has millions of plays. Like I don't think
I'll drop a link to it in the I'll drop a link to this song in the description because we can't put this on Spotify playlist just because it's specifically a leak that exists on YouTube.
Yeah, it's you'd probably be able to. This is one thing I kind of don't like about Spotify now is that because it's so easy to upload like podcasts, people put all these leaks on Spotify as like podcasts, and I feel like it almost is now feeling like a SoundCloud dumpster ground, but on Spotify. I feel like it's kind of annoying. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of cool because I guess you can still listen to leaks on Spotify, but it's just kind of, I don't know. I feel like it just bogs up the
it does. It bogs up the
experience a
algorithm.
bit. If I want that, I'll go to
it
SoundCloud
kind of
or I'll go to
ruins the
YouTube.
authenticity.
Yeah, totally.
It's totally true. But anyway, we might actually have to wrap this one up.
Yeah.
We've been going for an hour.
We've been going for an hour.
So,
We were like, we'll do like half an hour to 40 minutes. Like that'll be long enough. And then
that wasn't enough.
yeah, now let's wrap up here.
But yeah. Anyway, guys, I just would like to say thank you for anyone that tuned into the first episode of Miscellaneous Fuzz. Thank you for coming. This has been good fun. This has been, like, again, very cathartic for us to finally actually go and do, and we appreciate everyone that's actually come out and supported us. Everyone that supported me personally or Kiera personally, we really appreciate you, and especially if you sat through this whole thing. I don't imagine anyone to really sit through this whole
I
thing.
hope
the
you
first
actually
one,
did
but, like,
something productive during
thank
this
you.
time, like cleaning the house or
Yeah.
like, I don't know,
That too.
drinking a
But-
coffee. Not that you drink a coffee for a whole hour. If you do, I appreciate your stamina.
But yeah, expect some new episodes soon. And thank you very much for watching. Find us on our socials, Isaiah Cirillo at Chaotic Good. And yeah, take care, everyone.
Take care.
Have a good day.
See you later, guys.